Sensitivity is intelligence. With grace and skill, you have abundance. Welcome to the Psychic Hour. Host Kelly Brickle is a psychic medium healer, numerologist, and teacher. Her passions are learning about the soul and energy. Whether it's through spirit, emotion, or vibrational numbers, there's always a pathway of information waiting to help. Now, here is your host of the Psychic Hour, Kelly Brickle.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Psychic Hour on WLTK-DB Let's Talk Radio. Oh, wow, we're into the holiday season. Christmas has passed, and we're coming up on New Year's Day. And wow, we're here. That's crazy to think about. I always talk about time flying. It just helps, I guess, ground to even talk about it, right? But the focus of this final week of 2022, at least for me, is all about intention and change. And you can invite that into your life any week. It does not have to be the final week. It doesn't have to be for some celestial event or the world turning. That is so true. But it's a really cool vibration when everyone is forming together in the intention to change for the better. And I don't think we always have to concentrate on constantly changing for the better. I think when we put it out there, it shows itself to us, right? The natural evolution of us just learning, striving, being inspired, growing from whether it's pain or beauty, we're always changing. When we put our intention on change, sometimes that change can be actually much more meaningful, not always. And it can really add additional fire to who we're becoming and excitement to who we're becoming. And so during this final week of the year, around New Year's, I like to make a list. And some years the lists are bigger than others. And sometimes I have been known to make the list actually after New Year's. I'll do it the week after New Year's. And it's kind of like whenever you check in with yourself, you just kind of know where your head's at. So maybe, you're raring to go some years, and other years you're just like, wow, well, I don't quite know what I want this year. I don't quite know where I'm headed. I'm still figuring that out, and every answer is okay because that's you. But when you put some time and attention on it, you get to find out about you, because you know yourself best. And when you have that relationship with yourself, that's where the magic happens. So I have yet to make my list. I've been really thinking about it, especially today because I'm talking about it. And I go back and I look at my list from the previous year, and a lot of them are usually checked off. The vast majorities. I make some lofty goals because it's always fun. You don't put pressure on yourself. You just cheer yourself on, right? Some of the lofty ones, I'm like, okay. I I didn't quite accomplish that. And it's funny because it's not that it wasn't possible. It's not because, let's say, oh, that was a big one. The reason it doesn't get accomplished, at least for me, and you can think about this for yourself too, is because my focus just wasn't as interested there. It sounded like a great idea. It actually would have expanded myself very naturally, but my energy didn't want to go there because it had too much, maybe other stuff on the plate, or other things were more relevant. And still, it accomplished the goal. It taught me about what abundance was for me. It taught me about what really drove me or fueled me within that year. And it makes you think and question, well, do I really want this at the end of the day? Do I really want some of these lofty goals that I set for myself? And some of them might be like really pure and pristine and really positive, but there's something about that where maybe you want something more simplistic and positive and lovely, but in a different category in life, So I encourage you to look at your lists if you've ever made them, go back into your journals. It's about review. Like, December is the month of winter, and winter is all about hibernation energetically. It's all about crystallizing what you've learned. And think about crystal like a huge icicle, that you're cocooned in and you're, tucked away for the winter. And it's supposed to be in the essence of you're not going to be so extroverted. You're not, going to be so much out and about. It's maybe snowed in where you live, or it's extra cold, or maybe everyone's just so preoccupied and busy with the holidays, right? And it's a time to go within, and it's a time to really understand what's next. You could redecorate your house even, but the greatest redecoration is the redecoration of self. And really, a happy house is a reflection of self. So I always encourage the concepts to kind of go inward and go back to the self. And when we are more conscious about ourselves, we can help other people be more conscious with their decisions. If we're always like, oh man, I wish like my mom or dad or my best friend or even my coworker, I wish they just kind of got it. Well, we're all learning to get it. We really are all learning to constantly get it. And if you have the vibration within yourself without like telling anybody or trying to make anyone a believer of just walking the path, that energy feels open, good, explorative, adventurous. It feels expansive. And it feels so good, even though, let's say, someone doesn't know the details of it. A person next to you will be like, wow, I kind of like that vibration. And they'll subconsciously ab accept the vibration of openness, adventureness, expansiveness, and it's, like, contagious, honestly. Why wouldn't you wanna feel good? Why wouldn't you wanna feel more clear? Why wouldn't you wanna feel more centered? And so if someone's cultivating that within their own life, you share the energy. Even if you don't share a lot of time with the person, we share energy all day long. And so with the New Year's intention, it's not about we have to pressure ourselves to become a certain way, but hey, what would you like to put your attention on and see just what happens? Why not have fun with it? Life is meant to be fun. And yes, life happens, and we're always learning about how life happens. But when we have our choices along the way, and we have many choices, we can lean into the adventure, that adventure of choice, creativity, that adventure which becomes an invention of curiosity. It's all afoot. So, hey, some of my goals, and maybe this will stimulate you for your new year, if you are, looking to manifest certain things or dive into life in a certain way. Some of my goals are always like with my business. And this year, I've really have wanted to almost not put goals on my business and just kind of be and let them happen. And I'm very torn with that. I really am, because part of me wants to manifest goals, but another part of me just goes, I just want to feel it through. I just want to feel it through. Of course, I'm going to have some, you know, bare bones goals, but they're going to kind of manifest as they go, because I've done so many goals along the way that I think all the content and foundation is there, so I'm just kind of gonna have fun with it. Now, some things I do wanna have manifestation is within, like my health. I'm really good with, like, food and herbs and supplements and understanding and listening to my body, but I haven't been exercising enough, so I actually want additional goals in that category. Sometimes we, like, put so much emphasis in certain categories, but we don't put emphasis in other categories, and so my emphasis for this new year is definitely exercise and strengthening my physical body in a way where I'm strengthening my muscles. um, and creating like more of that physical structure for myself. And that way I'll actually have additional energy. And additional energy, oh gosh, doesn't everybody want additional energy? Because you could just do more, right? That's fun. Or you just can feel like you want to do more. At least it doesn't have to actually be more. It's just you feel, the surplus or the vitality. And that's always nice to feel. So, and I have like a list, and I've accumulated it through the year of the things that I actually do excel at. So I'm really good at cooking, and I made a list of, all the things that I've never cooked that I've always wanted to cook. Um, I love like spinach and cheese, like feta cheese, like phyllo dough, like pockets or pastries or things of that nature. And they're super simple to make, and I've never made them. And I've always wanted to for like since I've been a kid. Like I'm gonna make this someday, and I have recipes and stuff, but it's just why not, right? Why not? So some of those things are gonna get knocked off this year, and my exercise routine, and also yeah, looking into real estate more. So wow, as I say those things, what defines me as I define my goals? And what defines you as you define your goals? And we're not defined by our goals, but the energy of our intention are in there. And it speaks a lot about our energy and what our interests are or what we're up to. So it's about having the relationship with our energy. It's not about we have to have more, we have to have do more. Yes, life is about evolution naturally, but it's about learning about our energy, having mastery over our energy. And that speaks volumes, and that has much more meaning and love and power in it than just an additional goal ever could have. So I hope that you all have fun with your lists or intentions or meditations or prayers or whatever really drives you and whatever you're learning about yourself in, whether it's a class, a mentorship, a project. I wish you all the most beautiful success today, tomorrow, and in the new year, because it's a brand new cycle yet again. And every day I believe we have a new cycle, but now we're having an additional cycle that comes into the arena. So have fun with it. I'm going to give you love in that notion, and we're going to go into a break for a moment, and we'll be back with Ed Torres. I'm excited to talk with him. Looking forward to it.
Want to keep up with the latest at the station? How about catch up on your favorite shows on the go? Download the free WLTK-DB mobile app on the App Store and Google Play. Watch, listen, and shop right from the palm of your hand. The WLTK-DB mobile app. The truth is here and now. Get yours today.
Hello, welcome back to WLTK-DB. Let's talk radio, and let's bring Ed in. Let's bring our guest right in. Hello,
Hi,
Ed.
Kelly. How are you?
I'm doing great. It's great to see you. Let me introduce you to everyone. Ed Torres is a dedicated and passionate medium. You can find him teaching on his online and in-person weekly development circles, training an aspect of psychic work, Reiki Master and Karuna Master trainings. All paths helped Ed lead him to his ultimate passion, mediumship, and the healing art of connection. Welcome to the show. Hello. Oh, can you hear me?
It's good to be here. I can, and thank you for the opportunity to be on your show. I really appreciate this.
Absolutely. How are you doing with the holidays?
Well, excellent. We're very blessed. We've had all the kids. Everyone's healthy. We've somehow skated through all of the coughs, the colds, the COVIDs, and I swear by the flu shot and the COVID shots. So it's just us. So far, so good. And we're in Southern California. How can we complain? My God, the weather's beautiful here.
It is beautiful. It is beautiful. I'm in Illinois right now, and there's a lot of snow. It's beautiful in a different way. Absolutely. So, I know that something that you're really passionate about is your development circles. And do you host them during the holidays? Do you wait until after the new year? What's your schedule like at this time?
I love that question. A good friend of mine, Robert Brown, said, just do the work, just do the work. And so every Wednesday we hold a Zoom class, and every Thursday we'd hold an in-person class. And the only time I break is during the summer for about 2, 3 weeks, and then of course during the holidays now for 4 to 5 weeks. But I'll be on work travel. Can't do the in-house, but I always do the Zoom. Doesn't matter. So
And for how
very dedicated to the work.
very dedicated, how many years have you been doing that? The circles.
You know, it's an interesting question. I started back in '05, '06, and I've been doing them ever since. We started, it's when you enter into this field, it's really hard to practice. And I used to travel from here down to almost San Diego to get into a development circle, or a lot of people have intros or um, mediumship circles for 3 to 4 weeks, and that just never worked or was practical to me. I needed something every week. And so around '07 or '08, we started a development circle dedicated every week, and we've kind of been going ever since.
Wow.
It's how we roll.
Yeah, it really is, and, mediumship is life, it's all about dedication. Where have you found yourself evolving within your work from, the 2005 and you said 2008 as well into now?
Mhm.
How has your
Um,
style of teaching changed or your relationship with mediumship changed?
Kelly, when I was growing up, I never really sought this. It was something that was kind of just out there. In fact, growing up in a very religious Catholic background, I kind of was turned off by any kind of seeking towards this direction. But about in '05 and '06, there were some major life changes that happened. Experienced a tremendous amount of loss. It was just very painful. And so back up, had a family, went to school, went to college, started working. Everything changes in '05, '06. And so your introduction here was amazing. How, you know, be open to explosive internal growth, be open to spiritualism coming to you. Things happen for different reasons. Some people are born with this gift. It came to me. It was just a beautiful thing. So out of sadness came an amazing introduction to the spirit, the connection with the spiritual in a spiritual sense. I started going to circles, started attending classes, very dedicated to taking classes all over the place, all over the country. Left the country, and now it's my turn to give back. What I have found, what I have learned in a very practical way, in a very let's see what works. What works for me may not work for you. We're going to fine tune you to make sure it works for you. Um, this is how I give back now. I help people who are not beginners, but really dedicated to learning the field, really dedicated to needing the practice before they are boom, before they move out and just do wonderful things. And I've seen amazing people come through my school who are now amazing out there. They're just very good, dedicated people to giving back also.
Absolutely. Um, that's amazing that you've actually steward people and gave back, when you found that it really was a true calling for you. You said that you weren't even looking for it. What then finally got you to that place where you're like, okay, I guess I'm supposed to pay attention to this work?
When I grew up, being intuitive and having that gut feel was second nature. Kind of took it for granted. Um, Back in again '05, '06, when we had experienced these losses, I lost my father. I lost my uncle. We helped my wife's best friend cross over, and then just the neighbor down the street, she passed away, and we pretty much helped her daughter for the next 2 years. What happened was this. Um, when I started going to the classes, I just started to really feel connected with them and really feel a draw to it. It's sort of like love. When you fall in love with somebody, you just have to be with them. You have to spend time with them. You want to talk to them. And so when I was drawn into this field, I just couldn't get enough of it. I bought every tarot deck I could find. I read everything I could find. I started looking into numerology. What is that? I started going into the Reiki training. Anything that would help me open up, anything that would help me experience the energy. Really, it's what it is, the energy. Um, I became a Reiki master, Karuna Reiki master, healing with the hands, healing through beautiful transmission of energy from your heart to someone else's heart. And it just grew. It just grew. And I'm a very humble person, Kelly. I don't go out and brag, don't do anything. So this is a little out of my comfort zone here talking to you about myself. But I find it very, very comforting when um, the healing art of mediumship brings through who somebody who experienced a loss also, and now they're like they're right there with them, right there next to them, and seeing others in my development circles learning this and then watching them go out and doing the same is just a beautiful gift that I feel that is necessary to keep giving back to people, especially now that we've got some really challenging and troubling times behind us and maybe in front of us still. So anywhere we can help people, anywhere we can gift something to somebody, it's important to me to be there to do that.
When you are guiding people within their spiritual development and their mediumship, what challenges do you find that they have to meet the most to continue on with trusting themselves?
One of the biggest challenges most people face is trust. You really need to trust what you're getting and trust to give it, and then it's all about fine tuning. Um, and learning to be okay with the answer, no, that doesn't make sense. Okay, well, then maybe the interpretation wasn't correct, or maybe the way you said it didn't make sense to them. So you just go back and you reconnect with the energy, and then you explain it a different way. And if what you're explaining doesn't make sense, then go practical. Say, okay, well, this is what I saw, or this is what I heard. And lo and behold, sometimes that is all they needed to hear. So trust is a big deal.
Trust is a huge deal. When
Mhm.
they get no's, or let's say they're learning about interpretation, do you find that encouragement and uplifting the student, do you find that that's enough, or do you find that there's other things within them that they really need to look into to learn about themselves?
What I have found is spirits going to open up a person into mediumship at the rate that is necessary for them. Some people will open up very quickly and just jump into it and be amazing. Others, it just takes a little longer. Maybe they're just not ready. And so it's just steps. And I explain this to people all the time. It'll happen when it's necessary. It'll happen when you're ready for it. It'll don't be thrown by it. Just be okay with it. Um, and steps happen. They don't even notice them. And meanwhile, I'm sitting back going, "Wow, look at what just happened." And Kelly, this is a really safe place that I have here for my mediums to come and practice. I always tell them, check your ego at the door. Don't want to hear it. And most importantly, you have to be okay with me pushing you out of your comfort zone, because I see energy on people and I feel energy on people. And so when I see that and they're not saying something, I go, okay, come on now, where are we going with this? You've got to say something because you're stuck. You got to open up and allow things to be said. because you've got it on you, please. And they do. And then, so this is where, to me, I get a lot of joy back when I see people allow themselves to trust, allow themselves to get out of their comfort zone, and allow themselves to push through these learning experiences. And to me, that's all it is. And I explain that to them. Look, guys, you want to practice here. You don't want to practice in front of somebody. You don't want to do it then. You want to get all the goodness out here, because then you're fine-tuned for there.
Absolutely. And I think that, and let me know what you think too, within practicing, that is the perfect place to make mistakes. And I really think spirit looks out for us too. I don't think spirit leads us into situations where when we're helping somebody, we're going to fail. They're going to help us rise to the occasion. But when we're practicing, we're made to experience a lot of different things and to feel a lot of different ways. And it might make it discombobulating the feeling.
Yes. And everybody comes with a different background. I've had people who are medical doctors. I've had psychologists. I've had down to the earth construction workers. It doesn't matter their field, but everybody brings a special background to the field, and then we work with what they've got. Just recently, the psychologist I've got in the field, she's an amazing communicator, and so I keep pushing her, saying, "Look, your strength is your talking. Trust what you're getting and communicate in a way that just like it's a client." And when she allows that to come forward, it's just so touching. And so again, you have to work with what you've got. Um, Others who are, see, this is where it gets a little interesting. You should be able to, at least we've always been told, you should be able to bring through anybody and to bring through them in a way that is verifications and messages. To me, that's very important, verifications and messages. But what I have found throughout the years is some people are very much better at bringing through kids.
Yeah.
Others are more inclined to bring through older grandparents. Some others, suicides. You have to be ready for these connections, but it may not be your comfort zone. Just work through it. Just pound through it. So
Yeah. I do think that we have the potential to connect to spirit without restriction. So,
mhm.
every relationship is open. It potentially is, but we're all learning. And I know I excel with certain relationships more than others. I know I do. And do you find that for yourself too? Do you find yourself being more attracted to a certain type of relationship, or do you feel like, okay, I've opened up my mind enough where it doesn't happen as much?
Yes, absolutely. Um, One of my mediums in my circle is very good at bringing through kids. And it's a challenge to her, but she's getting more accustomed to it. Um, to me, it's older people and suicide victims. Those are the ones that I connect with very strongly. So,
Yeah.
and again, you have to think about your background. I'm 6 of 8, so my parents were always older. I was always very comfortable around older people. My brother, when I was younger, he experienced, well, he died. It was a suicide. And so it was very traumatic. So I experienced it real time. And so now when I see a suicide victim coming through, I understand and I feel both for the sitter and the spiritual person coming through. And so it just makes it very, it you can't get around the emotional impact sometimes that these things bring through, and it's very hard sometimes. So this is where you have to again get used to sending the energy up and down, spreading the energy, so you're not locked in at the heart or the hearing or the seeing. You got to send it down to the grounding and the solar plexus, so you flow the energy, so you don't get emotional in these readings. But sometimes you can't help it. You know, the tissue is used by both of us at those times.
Yeah.
Gosh.
Um,
So
um,
Kelly, I'm curious, what are your strengths in mediumship also?
And with like relationship with connecting to
Yes.
individuals, I'm really good
Yes.
with dads. I'm really good with grandparents. I find that I'll get pets sometimes. But yeah, I'm really good. I'm really good with dads and grandparents for some and aunts. Those are my best. Those come in the most consistently. I don't get children a lot. I really don't. And I always spent my time just like you with like older individuals or in school I kind of gravitated towards teachers more with my interest to communicate. Even though I had a lot of kids my own age to communicate with, I had more interest in people that were older than me. So yeah, it kind of went like that. And I guess that's how my connections go too as well.
Beautiful. And you've got a lot of background and experience in numerology and astrology. So you can also add that into your readings. So with my Reiki healing, and now I've been exposed to trance, I'm learning more and more to, when I bring somebody through, to feel their energy on me and to, which is a little weird sometimes because you feel their aches and pains. You know, you can feel their wheezing when they're breathing, or their leg issues, or their back issues. And so these, but again, once you understand it's not you, you just allow it to, you allow yourself to be um, touched. I'd like to say touched, so that it makes it more real for the person in front of you. Sometimes, sometimes I found during my readings, I get it very animated, you know, and that would have been like the person who would have been who I'm bringing through. There was one reading I was bringing through where I kept stopping, and there would be this lull, and then I would start again and communicate, and then there would be this lull again. And I explained to the sitter, I don't understand why I'm doing this. And she started laughing. She goes, Ed, that's how she talked.
Yeah,
She'd give me
yeah.
information, then she'd stop, give me information and stop. It's like, oh my God, thank you for telling me that.
It's like another layer of trusting sometimes our confusion or frustration like I've had readings where I all of a sudden feel like this sounds intense, but it's true because it's real. It's like, oh, I'm stupid. I'll never be good at this. And I find out that that's how a person was feeling in a certain situation exactly. And you have to trust yourself knowing that, wait, this just came out of the blue. This just came like I was fine a second ago, or the energy wasn't like this a moment ago, right? I'm in the energy. And right, you could something as simple as your voice stops, right? You're like, that's not common, and but to dive in completely and know that it's there to help the person.
Right, right, absolutely. So being an empath, what I have found is I learned this at in an awkward way. I was in the Bahamas with in a retreat once, you know, during a week-long retreat. It was a mediumship retreat, and I wasn't feeling the energy. I was low in energy, and my back was hurting. So I sat next to my friend Maggie, who is a powerhouse medium. And so within about an hour, she was complaining about her back, about her energy going down. It's like, oh my God, Meg, I am so sorry. It's me. I'm just drawing your energy to get mine up, and you're peeling off mine, and your back is hurting. It's like, okay. So now let's launch forward. About a couple of months ago, I was a little overtired, so I thought I'm going to see if that was real. So I sat next to my friend, um, and she's a powerhouse medium. I'm thinking, okay, I'm going to pull her energy to get my energy back up. And oh my God, Kelly, within about an hour, her energy was just going down. She was getting lackadaisical. And I started laughing. She goes, what's going on, Ed? I said, look, I just wanted to try something. And of course, we turned it into a learning experience. I go, look, we're all empaths. We have to be aware when our energy is getting drained. We have to be aware of things. And so, you know, we can have some fun with it sometimes too.
Absolutely, to have enthusiasm and explore how and why and dive more into it. A funny kind of occurrence because you're talking about that too, was just recently. So I was at an event and I had another like coworker at the event, and she had just returned from doing a healing. And I didn't know. I knew that she was going to be doing healings sometime that day, but I didn't know when. I didn't know where. I was doing other things myself, and so all of a sudden I go, "Hey, how you doing?" And then I start talking to her, and my knee starts twitching. I'm like, this isn't me. Hey, like, is your knee okay? I just it keeps spazzing out on me, like, and it only happened when we started talking. It's my right knee." And she goes, "Oh my goodness." Well, first she was like, "No." She's like, "I don't think so." And I go, "Are you sure?" You know? And she was like, "Oh, actually, I was just upstairs on a session working on someone's right knee. And as I was leaving, um, someone came in the room and I had to end the session because, it just timing in with everything. So I didn't cleanse my aura like I normally do when we left the session." And so it's amazing how much energy is shared, even when there's energy awareness at hand with people, and what's left over that we even share from others, not even directly with the person we're standing in the room with.
Very good points. Absolutely. So that brings me to how important it is to have an introduction. When you are beginning a mediumship reading, you open up all the chakras, you ground yourself, you open up to connection, and at the end, you make sure to release the energy and you close down or bring your portals back to normal. I like to call them all the chakras back to normal. Because during the class, you're going to be open to everything and anything. You're going to feel the physical. Sometimes you get dizzy when you've got somebody you're bringing through who may have had some either mental issues, drug issues, alcohol. You can feel the heart palpitating when somebody has had a heart attack, um, wheezing for lung issues, and of course the back and the legs. Those are very real to us mediums. Those things are very real. Now, to people coming to the class, if they've never experienced that, it's kind of it's something to be fearful of and afraid of, but it can become you can get it under control and you can understand it. And once you, all they're trying to do is allow you to experience something, to say something. I can't say that enough. They're giving you something to say something or to do something. So
Yes.
tell them about the leg issue, tell them about the back issue, and then the pain is released. It's just gone. And so it takes practice to get used to that on a normal basis in class.
I think that sometimes sensations like that can scare people unless they're um, open to it or they know about it. If it all of a sudden comes on board, they're like, "What is this?" And so also in your experience, because there's many different ways we can feel things. So I know when I started doing energy work and like with Reiki and everything, so Ed, I'd like to hear your experience too. Um, I would be releasing energy, or I'd bringing down Reiki energy into my body and out of my hands, and like my back would start hurting, or I'd get like a lot of pressure in my head or in my neck. And it's almost like, flow has to be created within the body. Sometimes we have to learn how to use our energy in a certain way. And it's like there's these muscles that haven't been activated within us. And we're like, oh, like I'm stretching, right? And it can feel
Mhm.
really weird. How about you?
Absolutely. When I started doing Reiki, just like you'd mentioned, um, it was almost a two-way streak. I would feel where they needed the energy to go to it, and I would focus on that, and then I would feel it on myself. And so I was also very attuned to the energy is going to go where it needs to go. I don't necessarily need to focus on a sore spot or a location. So then, as I got more accustomed to the energy transfer, I would stay away personally from the harmed location, so to speak, the knee or the elbow or the wrist. I would focus somewhere else. Then I had a lot less energy of theirs coming to me, and it just became a direct flow from source through me into their body. And again, it went where it needed to go to. So again, you learn what works for you. That's what's important. You have to be practical. You have to figure out ways that you can be the best you can and not get harmed or hurt in any way and or afraid in any way.
Yeah.
So,
And the beautiful thing about when some of these feelings come up within the body, whether it's a backache all of a sudden or a headache, or that you're connected to a loved one's aches or pains or even passing, or even a psychic connection, it dissipates. The energy does dissipate. Once you've felt it, it has the ability to, and if sometimes it lingers, it's always has the ability to dissipate because what you're taking on isn't yours. And since it isn't yours, you can let it go. Um, and sometimes that's a practice within itself. Some empaths are very sensitive and they have a hard time letting go than others. And so just keep tabs on that as well. Like kind of like how much do you take on? I say that because you were talking about having a backache and someone else could feel your backache or get drained, or even like when I picked up on the knee and I didn't know the connection. My knee was spasming for like an hour afterwards, and I didn't really have time to completely let it go. And in fact, I did a couple things. I was like, oh, it's gone, and then all of a sudden it would kind of return. I'm like, oh no, because it was just so busy. There was no time. We were helping other people. We had no time to really take a moment. We had responsibilities. So that backache that comes from, sometimes the inception of that energy might come from stress at work. It might come from emotional imprint that we with a relationship with a person. We you know Someone might come in with a backache, but they're actually sharing energy from another person, another situation. We have so much stuff that we're constantly sharing and picking up on, even when it's not in a psychic reading or a healing. It's just life.
that is so true. When some of my members come to class, they talk about how they've had this energy or the spirit or this person with them all the way through the drive and all the way into the class. And then they will give the readings on and the mediumship reading for the class. And it goes to who it's supposed to, and we love it. But again, I have to just remind people that there's a start when we should be opening, and there's a stop when we should be closing and releasing the energy. Traveling all the way here kind of takes your focus away from the driving. That's kind of important. Be careful out there. And at the end
Yeah.
of the class, I always tell everybody again, shut down, bring yourself back to your normal state, focus on your driving. So how do we train for that? We allow in some classes, Kelly, what I've done is we've set the intention to feel. We're going to be feeling the presence, feeling the overlay on us. And so we kind of learn how then to get used to it. It's like noises, radios going on, kids running around. You're giving a reading, and all of a sudden there's this loud bang outside, or something happened. It's you don't want to get distracted. And so in class, sometimes I'll have the radio on loud and we just work through it. I had this one class where there was a lot of people in an auditorium, and I had a person in the back bang the chair every few seconds, just keep banging on that chair every few seconds. And it was a huge distraction. And I said, this is where we learn. You got to power through it, just ignore it. And oh my God, that person was getting into banging. And I was like, maybe we shouldn't be banging so loud. But again, it was just an opportunity to learn. And I can't stress enough, we really want to do those learning experiences in these circles, in these DCs, versus when you're doing a mediumship reading for somebody who's waited a long time to meet with you and to pay you. And, you just do the best you can then.
You just do the best that you can. Exactly. But if your teacher is helping you to train your mind with distractions, you're going to be so much better off. And I
Yeah.
do think like it's a good metaphor for just even when let's say we have a quiet environment. Well, sometimes within the reading itself, you'll feel something, and you'll be like, I don't know what that is, or it's almost like you don't know what to do with the energy because you're looking for something else, and it just trains your brain to just go in it, go in it. Um, I want to take some actual questions here too. Someone gave you a compliment. I have to always share the compliments. They said Ed is the best medium and teacher. It's from Paulette.
Oh, she's a sweetheart. Thank you, Paulette.
Awesome. I love send the love. I love when the love is shared. And a lot of people are saying hello. So like Liz is saying hi, Angela, Kevin, Julie, Mary, Jessie Cat, um, and another Mary too as well. So everyone's saying hi. Um, someone is commenting too. They want to know insight and they want to share their experiences. They're saying that they never thought about the different mediums and having different strengths, but it makes total sense. And she's referencing that she has a best friend that took her life when she was young, and she never thought about how certain mediums might be able to connect to that experience, let's say, more naturally than another medium.
I know, it's so true. Again, how do you advertise? Okay, I'm good with parents. I'm good with those that have crossed over before their time or in accidents, or I'm good with children. It's just not something that we do. And so when you're looking for a medium, you really kind of maybe want to ask around, talk around. We're very blessed here in Southern California. We've got so many beautiful mediums and so many good ones. And so, just kind of ask them when you are, when, or go to them, spend time with them, and then ask them, well, or if you know somebody who's gone to them, ask them what were their strengths? What did you get out of it? It's hard to find. It's hard to find out what people are good at unless you know who they are.
And I think that's something that is very interesting in itself. I know a lot of healers, mediums, and psychics, and it's not enough talked about like, hey, I specialize in this area of the body, or I deal a lot with
Mhm.
situations like this, or I'm really good with understanding passings of this nature. That it's sensitive information you usually don't put on a website, but I do think that what a wonderful world if people know that they could go to certain individuals that could really just hold them and say, I actually really understand this energy. I'm glad you came. Let's see what comes forward. I'm here to help.
Yeah. Absolutely. We've got one medium in our development circle. I call them DCs. One in our DCs who's just phenomenal with names. And so when she's on our Wednesday Zoom, we all have to be very careful not to give up the name too quickly, or she gets mad. Oh, no, no, I would have got that. I'm sure you would have. And so then we're all practicing names, and it's fun that way. You always have to challenge yourself to get better and better at things. Um, where are they from? What part of the state? Now let's get into, what were they like as a kid? What were they like as a child? Because then it becomes homework for the recipient to go back in and find out. And then again, it just makes it more real. When we have the development circle get-togethers, you've brought through this son, you've brought through this uncle, you've brought through this dad, and you get to recognizing it quickly. So you just all of a sudden, you just, okay, well, your dad's here, blah, 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 blah. So what I've challenged spirit to do is to come through in different ways so that we don't recognize them and we don't know. And lo and behold, careful what you ask for, because they will. They
Yeah.
have brought us energy, us information that would make no sense to us. And we just have to kind of trust and walk through what I call an angel path. They're giving me information, giving me information, information. All of a sudden, it's like you put it all together. And you just have to work through that angel path. As you mentioned, they gave you something different, which brings up another really good subject. You're bringing through Mary or whomever. All of a sudden, you have a no. You give them information, no. More information, no. So you have to quickly think and realize, uh-oh, we had a shift. someone else just came through. So you go backtrack and you say, okay, this and this and this is a different person. And let's just launch through now. And again, that's those angel paths you have to be careful about and be aware of. You just have to be aware of everything through the reading. Throughout your reading, just be focused on what's happening at the moment.
The openness and the curiosity, and like just you describing that, it just reminds me of how, when you're on platform, it's so important to be so comfortable with no's, because the energy can change because there's so many people in the crowd. And also, it's not as intimate, so some people coming in, maybe those no's is because they're not even thinking about that, and so you have to be so aware of how the energy is changing and how to stick with something, or, like, keep on the angel path, as you say. And yeah, a lot of these things, it takes a lot of bravery, courage, and dedication to understand what's going on.
Mhm. It's interesting when you do platform work, it's just very different. What you'll find is when you put out information, two or three people or more will get it, but they seem to be all sitting together. And so you're going over in a direction, overheads. Okay, that line there is where this is going. So when you do platform work, some people are really good at going directly to a person and you know who it's going to, you give them the information. Others will give information out, raise the hands, and then go and narrow it down. And so again, people just work differently, but the information is still real. The information is still there and it will get to who it needs to. What I found to be very beautiful is when you do platform work and you give the information and many hands go up and then it starts to slowly go down and go down to one person, you basically have gifted a lot of people a touch from the spirit world until you've narrowed it down to one person. So it's just a different way of looking at it.
It is, it is. It's a lot of different mechanics at play. Um, if I may too, I'd love to circle back to that too. There's a
Mhm.
question though, and I want to make sure I give this some emphasis as well. They're talking about being an empath and picking up on energy, and sometimes their head hurts out of nowhere, and so they think it's their grandfather coming through. Or their heart hurts out of nowhere, and they believe that it's their grandfather coming through, because he died of a heart attack. So, when people experience energy in certain ways, um, do they sometimes have a connection? Do they, out of nowhere, all of a sudden feel something? Like, what is it? Do you find, with in your own experience, or do people actually ask you about this themselves?
Well, it's again a beautiful question, and it's something that's going to be felt by a lot of people out there who are going to be listening to this. If a grandfather who was very close to you died of a heart attack, and all of a sudden, when you're going throughout your day and you get a chest pain and you feel it's the grandfather, what I'm asking you to do then is to say, "Hey, Gramps, is this you?" Or "Grandfather, is this you?" And then begin an interactive dialogue. Don't just accept it. Say, "What happened on this day? Do you love me?" Just ask questions that would be pertinent to you and the grandfather. And then what'll start happening is you'll realize it becomes not you answering or responding, it becomes interactive. And so empaths are very open to receiving messages. And when I say messages, remember it's telepathic and it's uh, idea or a thought that's coming to you. When I connect, everything is through my mind's eye. And so when I see somebody, I'm seeing it as a picture or like a television screen or a picture or a shot of something, an eyeball, an ear for good listening, good seer. Maybe they'll show me their teeth, beautiful smiles. And so pictures for seeing, thoughts and ideas for the hearing, and just be clear about those two and start separating them. And so make it interactive. Um, tell the grandfather, if it was you, maybe to show you in a different way so that it doesn't hurt, you know, those kinds of things.
I like that, to invite, please go ahead. Were you gonna say something too additionally?
Ye- Yes, I was just going to say, once it becomes interactive, then it becomes a little more normal. And you'll realize, you'll start to separate what are your thoughts and ideas and from what is now an idea or a thought that just came to you from, you know, from where? Well, of course, it's from the other side. They're coming and giving you a message from the other side. And you'll start to become more and more accustomed to separating what your thoughts are and what other thoughts that are coming through are. It's just practice again. It's just practice. The beautiful thing about um, recognizing it from someone else is then you can also say, I got it. I got the message. You came through. And so the spirit world is also learning constantly about how to connect through and get to you. And so once you've acknowledged, okay, I got the message, then they know how to get through. And they'll keep working on expanding those get throughs. And that's where it becomes really beautiful.
Yeah, the excitement of I know how to get through from the other side, and then, the mutual feeling of that. I love how you put it.
Mhm.
I highly agree with that, to, um, be open and curious and have the multiple, impressions come across you, or a message. Like, if you have your
Mhm.
heart hurt, like, lean into the connection, and you might actually see your grandfather's face, like you mentioned, or you might get something like a memory. And um, when it happens to me, sometimes I'll get, a loved one. I'll go, oh, I guess this person's around. Sometimes it's like, you just instantly accept it. And other times you're like, oh, am I thinking about them? Okay, they could be here. And then you invite them in closer, and you're like, yeah, that is you. Um, and it's just, it's always nice. It's always nice. It feels like you're very loved when someone
Mhm.
comes close to you. Um, so
You
someone's
have to
asking if
also
go ahead.
you also have to be aware that sometimes your interpretation of things aren't necessarily important. The only thing that's important is that the message came through. When I was learning to actually see and be okay with the pictures that they were giving me, they gave me this beautiful picture of, to me, a baby, but it was a long-nosed baby and these long ears. I thought, that is very, very odd. Why would they do that? But again, it was this long nose and then it had fur on it. And then I started to go, oh my God, this is an animal. It's a beautiful animal. And this person, this was their baby. This was their child. This dog was their child. And so once I realized it and we talked about it, it just became a very, oh yes, of course, you know, that was our baby. We did everything for this dog, this animal. And so again, be careful and be open to things that don't make sense to you. Just be okay with saying things and be okay with giving what you're getting.
I love it. Yes, I think so. What you're talking about, I think beautifully leads into. I'm going to pick a different question now. They mentioned. Well, first they said they gave a compliment. I will take what comes my way from you. So they were acknowledging something awesome you said, or you as a teacher. So Julie was giving a compliment your way, and then Julie asks. During a reading, I'm unable to figure out information. Afterwards, it's so clear. And so you were kind of talking about, just for a moment, don't figure it out while it's coming to you. Just
Exactly.
say it. So, yeah, please answer that question however you like, but it inspired me to pick that one.
Yes, absolutely. And so I was giving a reading one day about um, I was outside. All I saw were these steps, and I followed the steps, and I walked down the steps, and then I saw a balloon, and the balloon was released. To me, a balloon is a birthday or some kind of an anniversary. And so I'm giving this reading about how I'm walking down into a location and a birthday happened. So, of course, it was a birthday celebration or a celebration of the one that had just crossed over or somebody associated with it. Yes, a birthday just happened. It made no sense to me as I was reading, but it made sense to the recipient. Another example I could give is I was reading for this woman whose son came through, and the son was showing me himself to be very dressed up. Okay, he's very dressed up. He then shows me what looks to me like an outside party. Okay, he's walking now down into the party, and he goes to this one what looks to me like a table with people sitting around it. And then I hear, of course I would be here. And I'm getting emotional just thinking about this one. Of course I would be here. And so I'm telling this recipient about this story that that's unfolding. And afterwards, she mentions to me that her daughter had just got married last week. Her son had passed away, and they were very hoping that he was going to be there for the wedding. And so it was an outside reception. There were people all over, and yes, they were sitting at the tables, and that's how it came across to me to give to her. So again, it doesn't. It's so important just to give what you're getting, and try to be as open as you can about it. Don't. Sometimes you can't put a spin on it. You can't put an interpretation on it. Sometimes it just has to be as it's unfolding. And so again, you learn these things and practice. Sometimes you'll have to give the interpretation. Sometimes it just has to go very matter of fact how it walks through. So I hope that helped.
Yeah, I think it does. She's talking about she's unable to figure out the information afterwards. It's so clear. And um, when we're in the moment, and so Ed's talking about like recounts, and he's like, it made no sense to me. It made no sense to me. That's actually a great thing if it doesn't make sense to you, because that means it's not yours. That's kind of my favorite way to think about
Right.
it. Like I would never think this. I would never, if I wanted to get from A to B, I would never think this way. But it's the
Hmm.
best possible collection of information that can come in, even though it's so foreign. Oh, she said, funny to you, Ed. My last reading, there was a balloon. My brother's birthday had just passed. Didn't realize it until I got home that it was for me. Mine was in a few days. So yeah, hey, it was combined symbology.
Yeah.
That's fantastic. So someone at the top a little bit, I'm gonna scroll back up. They were asking about a healing question. This could go a lot of ways, but the question is, it's always interesting to see how physical manifestation points aren't really necessarily the root of the issue, and to follow that energy flow. So they're talking about, I guess, if you feel a point of pain, or where you go, oh, there, that energy is unbalanced, but they're not necessarily the root of the issue.
No, they've got a very good point there. There's some healings that are going to happen that, what you're trying to do now is work on the spiritual. There's three parts to us. There's the physical, there's the mental, and then there's the spiritual. And sometimes we forget that all three of us need to be hand in hand working together. And so when you realize that during a healing, that's when you have to really go into spiritual mode, and send your healing into their spiritual side, not so much physical, but their spiritual. They may be needing some love somewhere in their life, or some forgiveness somewhere in their life, um, or just maybe just some warmth at that moment. They were just having a bad day, bad year, bad month, or whatever. But as long as you realize, you know, send the healing. It's going to go where it needs to go. Okay, it needs to go deeper into the spiritual realm. What part of the spiritual realm? Where on their chakras do they need it? Focus on those locations. Try to open those up. Try to remove the blocks. Try to allow them to have energy flow. You don't want them to be just stuck in the heart chakra, or stuck in the grounding, the grounding and protection. No. You want them to be a whole person. So again, just show them in a spiritual way. You don't necessarily tell them, but you see where it needs to go. Allow yourself to be the healer. Work through the body. Work through everything that you need to. So
Excellent.
Mm.
Angel also has another question. I'm just getting all the questions in.
Mhm.
It's another question just dealing with like the internal experience and energy. She
Mhm.
says, I get messages and feel in my body, no visual, no auditory yet, but it's hard for me to trust it since it's not the obvious of Claire's.
Right, of course. But that's where it starts. You always start with the intuition, or mostly you start with the gut feel. You trust what you're getting, you trust the heart chakra. But then again, you need to start opening up the other chakras and trusting what you're getting from thoughts and ideas and or pictures. When we're in our development circles, it's quite evident when people come in where their strengths are. Oh, this person is a really good communicator, but they need to work on their seeing. This person is very well grounded in intuition wise. Gut feels amazing, but we need to work on the communication. And so this is where we push you out of your comfort zone, get you working on the other chakras, other abilities. And lo and behold, it takes time, it takes effort and practice. You need to trust and you need to just give what you're getting. And it just like anything else, it's a muscle that needs to be worked on. And you get better at it, time and dedication. And like I'd mentioned earlier, Kelly, you're going to get to a point and then you jump and you get to another point in your mediumship and then you just jump. So it's a labor of love, I'd like to call it.
It's a labor of love. And so,
Mhm.
another question regarding someone's grandpa, when they feel them around, they wonder if it's them asking them to work on their heart chakra. So they feel their grandpa in
Mhm.
their heart, and they wonder if he wants them to work on their heart chakra, and how would you work with that? And so just messages that come through and to just make, I guess, sense of sometimes the way we feel when we connect to loved ones or think about them, and we feel certain sensations connected to that.
Yeah, I wouldn't necessarily say work on your heart chakra. I would say that this is how they're connecting with you. And again, just be open to then thoughts and ideas coming your way on through your life because they've had a life, they've enjoyed a life, they've experienced a life. Now what they're trying to do is be one of your guides in a way to help you through your life. And so when you are suggesting opening up your heart, maybe it's something you should think about. Maybe it's you thinking about maybe I need to open up my heart, and the grandfather is there to support you. Okay, to support you in any direction, in any decision that you make. Be responsible with your life. This is an opportunity. Be responsible with your actions. And what you do throughout your life. Um, Things to think about. One thing I do want to add, though, Kelly, is it's really important to, like you had mentioned, eating healthily, exercise. You know, these are things that are good for the body, but what's good for the mind and for the soul? You want to meditate. You want to find quiet time. You want to be out in the air. You want to be outside. You want to just, what I like to do is I like to walk along the water's edge. I'll go down to the beaches and we'll just walk for miles. It's just a very, to me, a very meditative downloading time. Or I'll go to my wife and I'll go hiking. And again, we're just out away from people where it's just very meditative. It's a very spiritual time for us. And so find things that work for you to download, to release the energy of the world, of the energy of the problems. Always find time, quiet time for yourself because you can't just keep filling up your backpack with responsibilities, with worries, with thoughts, with problems, with money, with everything. You just can't because it gets to be very overloading. Um, Go outside, walk around the block, do something that's different, do something that's challenging to you in a way that is releasing. Okay. Find what works for you. That's what I can't stress enough. Find out what works for you and just get into it doing it.
Yeah, and as Ed's talking, I just, the the mantra of moving energy, right? When we go to a healer, they're helping to move energy, right? When we go to a medium, they're moving energy. When we're learning about our own mediumship, we're moving energy. And
Right.
yeah, a lot of us are stuck, or we're not, challenging ourselves. We're not moving enough. And to think about that in a metaphorical sense with your spirit and your soul and your emotions and your mind, but also in a very literal sense with our body. And it's also connected, like Ed says, it really is. Um, Ed, what do you have going on? We talked about the development circles. I know that you also mentor people as well. What do you have going on right now, or what do you have coming up if anything is shaping itself in the new year where people can come find you?
Uh, Kelly, let me make one closing comment on
Please.
your moving energy. Um, if we go to the store and we're in a crowd and we don't feel comfortable, we move around. We don't feel comfortable. We get to where we're comfortable. It doesn't matter whether you're in a school setting, in the mall. If you're not comfortable, you're going to go and move to where you're comfortable. Moving energy. It's the same way intuitively. It's the same way in the heart chakras. It's everything. Everything is aligned to you. And so if we go to sending healing to somebody, and if there's a whole group of us here and we dedicate and we focus our energy in a beautiful way to an individual, we can feel our synchronicity. We can feel everything binding together, and then we can almost see that beautiful energy of healing going to somebody. And so that's another thought I wanted to give to people. It's just moving the energy in a physical way, moving the energy in a spiritual way, in all the chakra way.
And
This
it's
year, mhm.
oh, no, go ahead, go ahead. I was like, "Oh,
That's
it's
okay.
subtle, just like moving in a grocery store when you're uncomfortable." The great point, go ahead.
Yeah, I don't always go to the same person. I feel like, oh, I don't want to go to that one this time. I'm going to go over here to this one over here. I just feel more comfortable. Why? I don't know. It's just, it's a comfort zone. And so this year, what are we doing? We're going to be continuing up in January through the development circles. We're going to keep up the Zooms. I'm really going to open them up to um, people who, again, I don't turn away beginners, but I'm not suggesting the beginners come in because they're sometimes taken aback by some of the how good some of the people are in these circles. But with that said, I just don't turn people away. If you're willing to put in the time and effort, I would love to have you. So the Zoom is becoming more and more important because it opens it up to other places in the state. Here in California, we have the Circle in the House every Thursday evening, and so the Zoom will be Wednesday evenings, and it's open to people anywhere in the country, basically. And that's the big push this year. Just get through pushing people through, getting people up and about, and learning, and out on their own.
Where can they contact you or find information about how to be part of the circles?
The best way is to text me. I know it's kind of an old-fashioned way, but it kind of works best for me. I don't always go on Facebook. I don't. I don't. I just don't do the big social media stuff, which is another good question. I'm going to challenge all of us with. I'm an older generation now, and so how do we get to the younger kids? How do we expose them to this kind of spiritual interactions and things like that? Well, we find a way. We just find a way. We learn how to go where they go. We connect with them in language that makes sense to them. We listen to their music. We go to where they are comfortable, and we get out of our comfort zones, and we bring them in. We have to keep reaching down. In other words, we have to keep exposing the next generation to these kinds of things. And so that's the challenge I'm proposing to all mediums out there. Get these younger kids involved. Get them in tune to what we're doing. And most importantly, if you don't train them, the mediumship is it can be harmful if done incorrectly. So again, you have to be keen to that, be aware of that, and do it correctly. One of my first teachers was a British medium, Robert Brown. He was incredible, and he was very in tune to doing it correctly, doing it in a very personal way. And so it was a very strict training, which to me was very important. British mediums got it down. They really are good at this. And so us as Americans, we're a little more lackadaisical, a little more easygoing. It's just different. We're just different. We're more in tune to people. We just like the interaction. And so, we just have to also be on our toes to how we say things, how we present data. To me, again, it's verifications and messages. Sometimes they get messages and then verifications, but just be kind, be careful with how you say things, and power through things.
I think, there's immense responsibility in this work, and I see a lot of people who are, let's say, naturally talented, and I always think to myself, whether someone's just naturally talented or they're learning, why wouldn't you want to learn from someone who has a bunch of experience? Maybe you don't have to be there for like years and years if you don't want to, but why wouldn't you want to absorb more of what makes mediumship wonderful, or a wonderful perspective, or someone who's seasoned? They're going to teach you something that you haven't seen for yourself, and it's really important to study from people with a lot of experience in mediumship, no matter how many good hits you get, or how many happy clients you have. It's really important, and I really feel that strongly. So for the younger generation, with a website or Instagram, can they come find you through that if there's any kids?
Yes, there is Instagram. They can find me on Instagram. They can find me on the websites. I do have the website there, but when you get to the website, use the phone number to text me, and then I'll give you the updated email address. So that work, edtorres.com. Again, text me and I'll give you the updated email address, and then there's lots of interactions. And on Instagram, I'm out there also, and on Facebook, I'm out there also.
Awesome. That's good. Those are those lifelines for people to come find you. Excellent. So I always, before the show ends, I give my guests the last word, whether it's like an inspiration, advice, a card, a poem, whatever, a thought. What is something that you would like to share with the audience before you go that's important to you?
This past Monday, Christmas Day here in Southern California was unseasonably warm. It was 80 degrees, unreal. And Monday I went walking along the water's edge, just thinking about how, there's so much snow and this winter bomb that's happening in the Midwest and up on the East Coast. And yet here in Southern California, the water was extremely calm, and unreal calm. I've never seen it. And I grew up here, calm. So I took many pictures, and I thought, okay, this is the calm before the storm. And I thought, no. This is the calmness that's coming to us all. We've had a lot of excitement the last couple of years, a lot of political divide, a lot of push and pull, you're either this or you're that. No. It's time to start reaching across party lines. It's time to start just being a person with respect for another person's opinions, another person's lifestyle, another person's whatever. Just be respectful. You don't have to like it, but you have to respect it. If it's not for you, that's fine, but that's okay. Their lifestyle, their way of believing in God, country is theirs. And we can all walk hand in hand. And so that's kind of what I'd like the message to be. 2023, let's be a little different. Let's be understanding. Let's be helpful. Let's be healing. Open the door for somebody. Don't just walk through and slam it shut. If somebody's in a rush, just back up a little bit. Let them go through. You don't know what's going on with them right now. But my nephew goes, when you're on the freeway, drive like you have to go somewhere. And I'm thinking, no, when I'm on the freeway, I want time to slow down because I'm always in a rush. I want this day to be longer. I want to appreciate this day every day. Every day is going to mean something to me. And so again, that's time management, work, play. Uh, find a way to marry the both of them together. They're both very important. Keep the vibration high. Always keep yourself cleansing, releasing energy that's not yours. Sometimes you have to learn to protect yourself. That's not a bad thing. In a spiritual way, set up the boundaries for people. And I loved your one exercise. Exercise to me is very important. Getting out and exercising keeps the body healthy. So there you go.
I appreciate that. Yeah,
Mhm.
vitality. But I love what you said, and Ed said it wonderfully. Do it differently, right? Do it differently. And with that said, with whatever it invokes within you, please take that into 2023. We want to thank Ed for being here. Fantastic insight and heart for this work. Thank you so much. And with that said, everyone, please go with love, light, luck, and don't forget to live. We will see you next year. Take care. Bye, everyone.